How long have you lot been asking for this? Finally, in what can end up being Payday 2's very last content update, we have added a musket to our arsenal. Never say the devs don't give into peer pressure, as the Flintlock Freddy is everything you've ever wanted in a Payday weapon. More damage than you can feasibly take advantage of against most enemy types? Check. A reload animation so lengthy that Payday 3 might be out by the time you complete it? Check. But the ability to one-shot almost every enemy type in the entire game? Double check. Just like the Golden Spoon before it, Starbreeze have added a weapon to Payday 2 that is not only absolutely ridiculous to use in our bank-robbing simulator, but also has carved out more than just a little niche in the meta. In essence, this thing is a pure bulldozer deleter. I've yet to actually work out why, but it seems to have an innate damage multiplier up against dozers that ramps its already mighty 10,000 damage per shot up to seemingly infinity. This thing can one-shot any dozer, even the 4800 health pool of the minigun dozer on death sentence. Let me tell you, that makes it a massive asset to any build that might be lacking in the dozer dealing department. So much of Payday 2's difficulty rides on the crazy, still bugged dozer spawn numbers, with the very real possibility of having to face down 5 to 7 of these guys at once when the medic and minigun variants start joining the assault. With how the musket dispatches them instantly, what's normally a huge obstacle becomes functionally irrelevant, giving any team far more space to operate even on the death sentence difficulty. Outside of that, as I've already alluded to, this weapon is absolutely overkill in the damage department, and not worth wasting on regular enemy types or other specials. Not to mention, if you do start firing it regularly, you'll end up spending more time filling this bad boy with gunpowder than you will actually playing the game. As such, it works a little like melee in a sociopath build or the SMG in any sniper build. Its sole purpose is to take care of Payday 2's most problematic enemy type, freeing up the rest of the build and allowing you to really experiment within that secondary slot and go wild with survivability skills, which is exactly the concept behind the build I'm about to show you. First up, drink in those crazy stats. 10,500 damage, 15 ammo, 1 shot load at a time, 92 accuracy, and a whopping 11.1 second reload time as standard. Everything else is pretty much moot for this weapon, outside of maybe that fire rate of 60, as that means it can actually be ran with Bulletstorm's endless firing mechanic if you feel the need to deal 10,000 damage repeatedly over range, but as I've already alluded to, this isn't all it's cracked up to be, as like 90% of that damage is completely unnecessary. Still, an idea if you wanted to try it out, especially on the Piggy Bank event game mode, where musket kills immediately drop gold bags. Concealment is also an issue with this weapon, meaning we can't really look to fit in a high DPS secondary like an SMG that's looking to get some crit online, but that's fine as it does open up plenty of other options that can struggle for viability otherwise. Whilst not the star of this show, our secondary weapon in this build, the Argus 3 shotgun is going to absolutely be the workhorse of it, doing most of the heavy lifting, whilst the musket just shows up to take all the glory. This Galfang Smuggler Pack weapon is still an excellent secondary option with its unique luck and multi-shell reload action, making it excellent at indiscriminately launching out damage over medium to close range. To make this thing an even stronger weapon for dealing with regular SWAT types, we go in with the Tombstone Slugs, dishing out excellent damage over time and crowd control. We pair this with the Tricore Compensator, Accuracy Debuff, Triple Tech Threat Exclusive Set, Surgeon Sight, and Flak Frame Null Stock. With this specific build, we can one-shot heavy SWATs after the poison damage hits, or two-shot 1800 specials via the same damage over time method. Adding overkill damage into the mix, things can be sped up further, with medics and tasers falling into that one-shot range. Let's now jump directly into the skill and perk build for this setup, which the Flintlock Freddy is essentially the enabler for. You see, the perk deck is Stoic, still on its own probably the strongest defensive perk deck in the game. The only reason why it's fallen down my own personal tier list is that this late into Payday 2's lifespan, with how much we know about the game, aggression tends to outperform passive defensive playstyles. You see, Stoic can't easily access crits, as it's a heavily armoured playstyle, and Berserker is also out of the question as it relies on your health pool to keep you alive. As a result, you can't really make use of the most popular damage multipliers for Death Wish and Death Sentence, meaning you're often forced towards more of a bog standard LMG playstyle, which can still struggle up against dozers. The musket though opens up something completely different for Stoic fans, giving you a tool to deal with the damage checking bulldozers, whilst you focus the rest of your build on staying alive and supporting your secondary weapon. That's why this build can look towards many utility skills as we switch over to the skill page to pick up Combat Medic, then Quick Fix, and up as Aced and Basic Inspire. With Stoic heisters taking an age to kill, you really don't need Inspire Ace to successfully revive teammates. In Controller, we grab the usual Joker skills with Force Friendship and Joker, alongside Confident, Partners in Crime and Hostage Taker all aced, with Stable Shot to support the secondary. In Enforcer, we build into Shotgun skills with Underdog, then Shotgun CQB, Shotgun Impact, Close By aced and Overkill Basic, as the ace version really would be Overkill with the Musket. In Tank, it's Resilience aced, Transporter, Die Hard, Shotgun Ore aced and Iron Man aced for the ICTV, rounding things off with Scavenger. In Technician, it's just Hardware Expert we need, and likewise Duck and Cover in Ghost. Finishing off the build in Fugitive with 9 lives aced, Martial Arts and Bloodthirst aced, a key reload buffing skill we'll need to keep in mind during gameplay. Heading into that gameplay, this was all captured during early access, so is played purely with crew AI. Interestingly enough, this actually helped by granting me access to the Accelerator skill, which automatically offers a 50% reload buff to the Musket, meaning you might struggle more with this thing when running with a full team. But that's where Bloodthirst aced really comes in. After picking up a melee kill and then reloading the Musket, it will only take just over 7 seconds to complete. With both Bloodthirst and access to Accelerator, you can get it down to around 5 seconds, which is absolutely manageable for this weapon, especially when using it exclusively as a dozer destroyer. Not to mention, with how tanky you are using this build, if you have multiple dozers on the map at once, you can easily take a positional risk to hit the collateral on them and wipe thousands worth of SWAT health straight off the map. And that really is the entire purpose behind its likely addition in any future build you make. On the surface, this might look like more of a for fun build, and I must admit my days of trying to find the best builds for Payday 2 are long behind me, with Payday 3 being my new skill building obsession, but this absolutely is a DSOD viable setup, with the Musket offering an all-important dozer killing tool to any player who wants to innovate with their secondary and not tunnel into the usual damage multipliers. Here, it allows me to essentially not consider dozers as a threat, as it'll one-shot every single one of them, whilst my Tombstone shotgun acts as a solid facilitator for the build by dealing with every other unit type. As for the Argus 3, this is actually the weapon you'll probably be seeing the most of across the gameplay. This thing is wonderful backup for the Flintlock Freddy, ticking all the damage threshold boxes and grabbing enough kills to ably resupply your Stoic flask and keep that health bar well nourished. With the Musket requiring virtually no skill point investment to perform its primary function in this build, you're left with tons of flexibility around your secondary, allowing you to run virtually all shotgun specific skills for this one without giving up any of the usual Stoic luxuries like the ICTV or Hostage Taker. As a result, you can be both an impenetrable tank and competent damage dealer with a specific advantage against dozers. Snipers might seem like an issue on the surface, but I always find that Stoic naturally shrugs them off, and with Tombstone slugs on the shotgun, they tend not to last too long on the map regardless. Speaking of those poison shots, they just make this build so much less skill intensive, requiring you to land fewer headshots, think less about who or what you're shooting at, and simply be confident that even if you're just firing wildly into a group of enemies, it's unlikely that anyone will be walking away with their life intact. Think of it as similar to the old brainless Dragon's Breath Grim, but without the need for crits and leading to the dulcet tones of men being violently sick rather than burning alive. I know I get told off for using No Mercy as a build testing heist, bearing in mind how it makes almost any build look decent, but I just couldn't resist the opportunity to test out the insane down corridor collaterals and was not disappointed, as you can see. Stoic can sometimes even struggle for DPS on small, fast spawning maps like No Mercy, so it's refreshing to see it excelling even here. Looking at where you might find some cracks in the build though, of course outside of the Musket's still satisfying but cumbersome reload speed, you might point at its low ammo capacity and pickup rate. However, not only is the Argus 3 completely self-sustaining, the Musket itself doesn't really run into ammo issues, as you simply can't fire it quickly enough to burn your way through its ammo pool. Honestly, 15 rounds are more than enough for an entire heist most of the time, and I can't think of many other dozer-specific tools like the RPG that can even replenish their ammo. If you're running into more than 20 dozers over the course of a heist, you're probably on the unlucky side of the RNG spectrum, and even if that is the case, you'll have ample ammo to deal with each one individually. That is, unless you run into this build's only true blind spot, its struggle up against medics. Whilst it can wipe dozers off the map without a second glance, it can only do so roughly every 5 to 10 seconds, meaning if the dozer you were planning on dealing with is the recipient of a well-timed medic revive, you might find your hands tied without a way to quickly respond. This issue really starts to compound when medic dozers start to pile up and revive each other, with the revival cooldown being shorter than the Musket's time to fire. These invincible conga lines are basically the only way to break down this build for the cops, and do highlight how much of our damage is limited to infrequent spikes instead of bringing the consistency of say a Chris SMG or a Kimbo pistols. In any case, smart play around the Argus can bail you out of any sketchy situations, as unlike the Dragon's Breath, Tombstone slugs can still land powerful headshots and support the Musket nicely. Even with these potential drawbacks accounted for, this is a seriously robust Deathwisher DSOD build with excellent team support options, despite its reliance on a meme weapon that's a couple of centuries too old to really be utilised by a gang of modern bank robbers. In any case, enjoy this wild fun whilst it lasts in Payday 2. Payday 3 has more of a grounded, down-to-earth tone, so I anticipate we won't be seeing anything this irregular, at least in the first couple of years of its lifespan. That said, thank you so much for watching. I hope you agree that this musket was more than worth the wait now it's finally in the game. Check out my other 10th Payday 2 anniversary content on the channel, and I'll see you all very soon in the next video. A huge thank you to my dedicated Patreon backers. If you want to join this crew in going infamous, check out the link below and pledge as little as $2 to see your name in the credits, or get 24-hour early access to future videos and vote on upcoming content. Take care, I'll see you all soon.